I had been in the corporate world for over 25 years. But really, who I am is a creative and an artist who really loves people tremendously, has always just loved people. And pretty much my modus operandi has been, who can I make friends with today? And as the technology started to increase, as the processes and systems started to just evolve at rapid pace, my work life no longer aligned with being that person who really loved people and wanted to give good service. I felt like I had become a KPI, a key performance indicator, data measurement, and that my value in the workplace was strictly 100% performance based, and it wouldn't matter how hard I tried or what I was able to cultivate in terms of relationships or anything like that. I basically felt like I had become a measurement. And I was not met with any kind of compassion or humanity or concern or care in the workplace. And so I would just try to fake it. And then I would just get so stressed out because I didn't really have a good way of handling my stress, and my wires were kind of crossed, right? Because when you get into that stress response, literally your wires get crossed, and no amount of self-talk, no amount of TED Talks, no amount of psychology can help a physiological response to stress. Well, I had no idea.
Is that necessarily contradicting measurement and human relationships?
It's not contradicting, but I think, obviously for corporations, it's important to be able to measure because you have to be concerned with your bottom line. But if you are put in a situation where you are being measured, and especially in a comparison way, it doesn't give room for people to necessarily want to help you because they know that they are constantly in a race you're constantly put in a competitive situation. So how does anybody really have the bandwidth to collaborate and to really foster that sort of group feeling where you feel like that group, like a family at work, that connection?
I think comparison is very evident in many of the areas of the world we are living in right now. For example, because of social media. Yeah. So, right, you constantly see other people just nailing it all the time, so successful. And we get stressed out because we keep comparing ourselves to others. And again, logically, we know that no one is succeeding all the time, right? But it's how it appears on our feed. And so that's part of what could lead to this very heavy feeling that you keep falling behind. I think many people, I see it, many people are afraid to openly talk about their challenges, their setbacks. It's especially common amongst entrepreneurs and founders who are afraid to even lose clients or investors. It's common amongst women. We always had the tendency way to prove ourselves, right, as equals. So why should we open about? But no, you and I know, and hopefully many more people are discovering that the almost antidote to this burnout epidemic would be to share those concerns, these issues, and then support each other, because we're not alone in that.
No.
Right?
And I feel like our stories beg us to tell them because somebody else needs to hear them. And when we stop apologizing for the ways we think we fall short and putting on masks to appear to be a certain way, a certain person, to, for other people to see us in a certain light, when we stop apologizing for who we are and really open up and live inside out from our human being and live inside out, then we live a more authentic life that is completely integrated and aligned. And when you talk about well-being, that's what I'm talking about. It's the integration of the whole human being.
You mentioned resilience, and I want to touch upon that resilience. I love that word. I think it's important. I also think it's very trendy. So I'm curious to know, for you, what is the key element, or maybe there are key elements to cultivate resilience?
That's funny. I always say that life is a freight train to a roller coaster down a rabbit hole. And what mindfulness does, it doesn't stop the train. It allows us to get off when we want to. And so I think that when we stop arguing with reality, when we stop fighting to control what we can't control, when we recognize that the past is the past, and when we are present, then we get to begin again. And I think knowing that the option to begin again is always there is what resilience is all about.
That's beautiful. I like the idea that we have a choice, that we're not subjected to circumstances if we choose to.
You know, my approach is very accessible and pragmatic because of what you just said. Life is life. And unless you can go on an ashram in India and sort of check out of the day-to-day things that happen in everyday life, it's not that practical. So having a tool, having a practice that helps set you up for dealing with the challenges of everyday life, flourishing through the challenges, knowing that even the mundane can be joyful, when you can recognize that the most normal, mundane things that we are able to do are our default of joy that we have within us. That's everything. That overshadows anything that could be making us worry or want to numb out or regret or remorse. It just resets our default of joy. And I think we all have a default of joy.